Hello, and welcome to Your Sparkly Brand, the podcast for badass, game-changing business owners who aren't afraid to sparkle and stand out. Here, we're all about fighting the status quo in marketing and branding so that you can reach more people and make more money. Coaches, creatives, and thought leaders, here you'll discover how to become magnetic AF so that you can build and scale your sparkly empire. I'm Megan Gersh, your bold branding and website designer, and I'm here with my co-host, the copywriting queen, Lauren Tassi. Hey, Lauren, how are you?
Hey, Megan, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. I'm excited to introduce you to our guest today, Shawn Fink. Shawn is a business strategist and courage coach for women plus entrepreneurs and creators. She's been coaching, creating, and building community online for 10 years full time. She's passionate about helping her clients make brave, yes, power moves to grow, uplevel, or pivot their businesses for more authentic success. Welcome to Your Sparkly Brand, Shawn.
What a thrill to be here with both of you. Thank you so much. I'm honored you've invited me here today.
Well, we're so happy to have you. Before we jump into your story, we like to kick each episode off with our sparkly moment of the week. It's like a little win or a celebration, something that made you feel good and sparkly. Meg, what was your moment this week?
Actually, I had a meeting with Shawn, so this is like the perfect episode to introduce this moment. But I've been doing a lot of soul searching lately about my business, and I think I'm going to make a pivot back to the music industry. So I'm terrified. I'm excited. I'm feeling all of the feels, and I'm still figuring things out. But yeah, that's making me feel a little bit sparkly. What about you?
Well, I'm excited to talk more about that. This week, I put out a new offer and I've already gotten some interest, and I'm super excited about that because sometimes you put out an offer and you hear nothing. So it's good to just feel like I'm answering the problems that people are having right now.
Very cool. Very cool.
And Shawn, what's your sparkly moment?
I am going to choose something that just happened today, a few hours ago. This year, I held my first group coaching program for the first time in a long time. I had started out as doing groups. And so this was my first, I wouldn't say it was a huge success number wise, but the group has been great. But today was our final masterclass, and it was nice to gather, and I got some really beautiful feedback on the content and the mission of the group. So it really gave me a lot of good, warm, fuzzy feelings of, how it went, and that I can offer it again, knowing that the content is solid.
All right, so let's get into it. Shawn, why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you get to where you are in business?
Where shall I begin? So I actually started, my business career began as a blogger. This was 10, 12 years ago now, I guess, when people really were just starting to monetize online. And I was a writer, and my background is a writer. So I started blogging, and I had a mentor who worked in the same building as I did when I had my 9 to 5. And she was kind of mentoring me and over lunches now and then on because she was in content marketing, and I had never even heard of content marketing at that point. And so she kind of kept pushing me along and kind of guiding me along. And finally, I had a group that I put out, an online group program that was free, and it had like 400 people sign up. And she was like, hey, maybe you should sell them something, at the end. And I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? So I wrote a book real quick, an ebook, and I sold that. And that was my first product. The Brave Yes, though, is my second business. So that was my first business that lasted 8 years. And when I was ready, kind of hit my upper limit as a person in my career and in my business at that point, it was in 2020, I decided to, after a couple of years of kind of soul searching, figuring out what my next thing is going to be, I then kind of threw the backpack over the wall and closed down that first business. And that was where the Brave Yes was born. It was born in that moment of really, I shut down a whole community, and I knew that they were going to be pretty upset, and they were, but they handled it well. And that was all my income. It was, everything I'd ever been doing, online for 8 years. And finally just was like, I'm done. I'm going to try something different. And so that's how the Brave Yes was born, and the work that I do now with entrepreneurs.
So let's talk like a little bit more about Brave Yes. Like, what does that mean? How can people step into that? Like, what is that all about?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like what you were just talking about, Megan. You're about to make a change, and you're terrified. And yet you also know that on the other side of that is liberation. It's a feeling of total alignment, that you're going to have fulfillment, fulfillment in the work that you do. Not that you don't have it now, but you know that it could be even better and that you can serve in a more aligned way. When I first started working with the concept of Brave Yes, I was really thinking of it from that standpoint of identity change, or like, what are you going to do to really become more aligned in the work that you do? And now I adopt it mostly to entrepreneurship. So that pivot, which is really not just the pivot of the business, but the pivot of you. And that is where it gets scary. It's like my identity and all of my income and everything I've been doing to this point. And so that's really where the Brave Yes work comes in. And, it can be big, like the pivot, which is how mine was born, but it can also be smaller, much more subtle, almost inner work that we do that nobody else ever sees. But it's like that commitment to like being more visible. Like that's a Brave Yes. I didn't really plan this, but a lot of the women that I work with as in entrepreneurship, they tend to be people pleasers. They kind of have a lot of self-doubt, which the self-doubt part I would have expected. And so Brave Yes power moves and the work that I do is more about how am I going to really put myself out there and how am I going to really allow myself to do the scary things, even though, they're scary and I kind of don't want to, right? Like I just can stay here safe. But what we know is that safe doesn't actually mean, the revenue that you want or the joy that you want. And so the Brave Yes work is really just helping you get to that next level. It's taking the actions. It's having the vision really in the beginning. Like, am I playing big enough?
I know for me, when we had our chat about my Brave Yes, I was feeling like very like stagnant, like stuck. Are there other things that you have seen with entrepreneurs, like things they could be feeling or experiencing that indicate for you like it's time for like a big shift like this?
Yeah, feeling resentful. And often what goes with that is not making enough money and knowing that you have knowing that you have the ability, that you're capable of more, but you're not 100% sure what that is. Or maybe you do know and you need somebody to help you actually become that person. I work with a lot of big brands who, they're very popular, but they're not making money. And so the Brave Yes work is sometimes you've got to, do the hard work of saying some of these people that are kind of tagging along, getting the free stuff, they aren't my people. That's hard. That's really hard when you are, want to be popular and you have a really, big audience. But yeah, the stagnation, I think too, like for me, and I have a couple of other clients, I had actually outgrown my business. And when you've done it long enough, you kind of get to a point where you know everything and you're ready for something more. And I think that something more is often what a lot of people really notice, but they don't do anything about it until something serious happens or, like some kind of event happens and they're like, oh, now it's time. The other aspect that is I work with a lot of mission driven, heart-centered change makers. They have really big ideas, like outrageous ideas. And most people might be like, you're crazy, that'll never make money. Whereas I'm like, let's turn that into something. And so I think that like drive to change a system or up-level a system or do something that's going to really help people, that can be really scary. And following through on big ideas, like, you've got something, but you're not sure how to get it out there, which kind of like the Brave Yes, like, like who would have thought that one? It's kind of a weird idea, right? But I knew it when I heard it. I was like, when I wrote it in my morning pages, I was like, oh, that's kind of an interesting concept. Let me play with that. And then I hired a coach to help me make sure that I could do it.
First of all, I love that like Meg is kind of going through this right now because it really gives us a great talking point. So thank you for sharing that with us and everybody who's listening. For somebody who is listening and is maybe going, oh my God, that's me. That's exactly where I am right now. What are some like first steps or maybe practical tips to kind of start that process?
Well, I mean, there's certainly no one right way to start, anything. But what I can say is the first part that's hard, and this is, certainly where Meg is now, is getting that vision in place to really get clear on what it is that you're trying to do and go for. Are you running away from something or are you running toward? And I tend to work with the running toward. I don't use fear in my work. I don't use, any kind of those kind of tactics. What's the vision? What's the possibility? And I think that was really what I did wrong in my first business, is that I didn't dream big enough. I thought that I had kind of reached everything. And then when I kind of capped out at that upper limit, I was like, oh, there's nothing more. I didn't have a vision. And honestly, I didn't even have the imagination to dream bigger. So allowing yourself the opportunity, the creativity to really expand what's possible for you, and really getting that vision clear. Like, what is your mission going to be? What is this new, this brave yes going to lead me to? I think that's really the most important part. And you can do that through journaling. You can do that through conversations, meditation, talking to people, a coach, a mentor, anybody that's, going to hold that space for you so that you can bounce the ideas back and forth. The other thing, there's lots of things I could say, making sure that you are in a place where you can be open. I think, a lot of times the no brain, I talk about the no brain and the yes brain. The no brain is like, well, I can't really do it this way. It's got to be, a certain rigid way. And what we need when we are trying to build something new or dream up something new is we need that space to really open up to different perspectives, because what you're seeing is just that one story. And there's probably other pathways that you can use to get to where it is that you're trying to get. And probably much easier. We make it much harder. You know that, right? Like when we're trying to make a big change, we're like, well, make it so complicated. I'll get on a call with somebody and they'll be like, it's so hard. And I'll be like, no, that's really easy. Here's what we're going to do. It's just like, you're just so mired in it. It's so scary. No, it's not really that. Or the other thing that will happen is though, like, this is a huge change. This is like the biggest brave yes. No, it's not really that big. Like you're making it so much bigger. It's really just like little tweak of things.
So that feels like the perfect segue into talking about the brave yes power moves. So what are they? How do they come into play in the bigger scheme of what we're doing here? And how can people start implementing them?
Yeah. So brave yes power moves. This is what makes or breaks your business. I don't like busy work in my business. I'd much rather be reading a book in my hammock than, hustling all day long. So I pretty much declared early on that I'm just going to do impact, and I'm not going to sit here and fill my 9 to 5 like a job and do the things that, everybody tells me to do. So power moves are things that move the needle. They're going to move the needle in particularly your visibility, to make sure that you are getting the most impact with getting in front of the right people, so that you're really getting to your potential clients, your audience, if that's what you're trying to go for. But so power moves around visibility. I'm kind of obsessed with power and using power and shifting power, and how you show up in the world is really important to me and with my clients. So power moves that you're making that's going to elevate your authority, it's going to really bring you the respect and the referrals that you need in your business. Then also, just plain old marketing, right? Like power moves that you can do to, get people on your list and really engage people and connect with people, lead magnets or lead attraction, that sort of thing. Networking, you can do power moves in networking, which is great for introverts who are like, I don't really want to talk to people. There's lots of ways to kind of use that effectively so that you're not zapping yourself energetically over and over and over. The other power move kind of area that I love to, work with people on, of course, as a coach, transparently, I can say that, is investing in your business. Those are power moves. When you decide to get a coach, when you decide to invest in SEO, all of those, like anytime you're dropping the bills, that's a power move. And it doesn't always feel like it's a power move, because you feel like you're losing your power when you lose your money. But, when you can really see investing as a really good power move, it can change the way you look at it.
So I know something else you talk about a lot is stepping outside of your comfort zone. Why should we do this? How do we sort of get beyond that, wanting to stay small? What advice do you have for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, this is definitely the work. And really, ultimately, most people stay in their comfort zone. I would say, I don't know, I haven't followed your work, Lauren, so I can't say for sure, but I'm guessing you're probably out of your comfort zone more than most. And so redefining your comfort zone is, if the default is we really all want to be on the couch watching Netflix and eating Ben and Jerry's, then how do we make that feel like how do we make an experience like that kind of translate into when we're doing hard things? And so I don't actually believe that we should feel the fear and do it anyway. That whole do it scared thing, nobody does that for real. When I pivoted my business and I threw the backpack over the wall and told the community I was shutting down, I had actually had a plan. I had a coach. I had been planning it for months. I knew exactly what was going to happen. So I thought when things, when I ended, I knew which direction I was going in. There was no like feel the fear and do it anyway. I was terrified of the outcome, but I didn't do it without a plan. And I think that's really the number one thing when we are redefining our comfort zone, is to know that you don't have to just do it. Like, you're not just doing it, haphazardly. You can do it with support. You can do it with clear outcomes. And one of the things that I love to do with clients is kind of walking through the vision and making sure that we kind of address all the possible fallouts, right? Like, what if there's going to be a fallout, you'll be ready to handle it, because you can. There's big moves, even smaller moves. There's lots of ways to couch it, which is funny with the couch reference, but you can couch it, make it not so hard. The other part of that is taking these like micro brave moves that you're doing to just kind of acclimate to the direction that you're going or the work that you're trying to do. So like if it's visibility and you're trying to put yourself out there more and you're trying to play with your messaging so that people pay attention, just testing and trying to get a little more bold, one little step at a time. That's the sort of thing that you can do that, just kind of makes it just expands your comfort zone so that maybe technically you're not even leaving it. Wouldn't that be nice? It's like you still have one toe in.
I love what you mentioned about like the micro brave yes moves, just because I feel like that is such an actionable thing that people can put into action. Like, even if it's just like the smallest, like little thing, I think that momentum can really help bring about bigger change.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think we ever really get to change without small itty bitty moves that we're making.
So what advice would you give to business owners who are feeling like a little bit trapped in their comfort zones? How do we step out of that? If there are other actionable things that we can do?
Well, I would begin with giving yourself the space to play. Don't take it so seriously is always like my number one advice, because the second you think, everything is riding on it, you're going to clam up and you're going to be making decisions from the ego, and you really should be making decisions from the heart. And, when you're playing with, possibility, you need to have lots of space to imagine. And so that requires getting to a place where you feel most comfortable and safe. If that's art and doodling, then that's art and doodling. If it's singing or music, then do it through that. I'm a big walker, so, I'm happiest when I'm just like getting out there in nature. That's where I get my best ideas, other than the shower, and, I do a lot of journaling. And I think, I think that's just the number one thing. Just don't take it so seriously, because the minute you start taking it seriously, you're gonna overthink. Your inner critic's gonna come out. And I do believe in just allowing the creativity of it all, and you will find the right thing.
So let's take a trip back in time. If you could go back to when you were just starting your first business, or Brave Yes, what was the most valuable piece of advice you could have given yourself?
Do what feels good. There was a period of time when I first started my first business, I just only did what feels good, because business strategist, online coaching, none of that existed 12 years ago. It's something that is, more in the later years. And I just had fun with it. I did well when I did. And then at some point when the online gurus kind of came on the scene, it was like, well, you need a funnel and you need to have this tripwire and you need to do this and you need to do that. And so I started getting caught up in a lot of that. And I started getting caught up in overthinking content marketing and what messaging to put out there. And you should have a strategy. And I did this for a couple of years. And I saw in myself that I was not performing at the level that I should. I was, trying to be something that I wasn't. And I then switched gears once I recognized, like, wait, I'm getting caught up in this. I went back to just doing what feels good. And that is the magic for me. It is always the magic for me. It works now. It's worked, it worked then. So yeah, it's so easy to think that there's like shoulds that you should be following, and you always know what is best.
I love that advice so much. This is a question that we ask all the guests that come on the show, but like, I don't think anyone has said that specific answer. So I totally love that.
Yeah, I'm big on operationalizing joy, as I say it, because I really been around a long time on this business, and I've seen the rise and the fall of a lot of people. And I just keep coming back to follow my own joy, do what feels good. And every time I've done that, I've had a success. So it's so easy to get caught up in it.
So what are some upcoming projects that you're excited about right now?
Wow, goodness, this is exciting. Well, I am currently in the we're getting really close to launching a quiz, and it's called Discover Your Entrepreneurial Courage Style. And so you'll take the quiz, you'll get your results, and then there'll be, some goodies after that. And the idea is just to help, what I've learned through research is we all do have a default courage style. And so the things that you're going to be best at are the things that are probably falling in your dominant style. And then the things that are hard for you are just, you don't have the practice yet. You don't have the practice. And so the work that I do is we really play to your strengths. So why worry about kind of jumping the fence to the other types of courage if you can really kind of knock it out of the park with the one that you're really good at? Not that you can't play with the others, because why not, right? You might as well use the courage strength that you have and really make it shine. So that's just a freebie that I'm excited. Again, following my joy on that is just like a totally fun project. I like quizzes. I think they can be really fun and powerful for people. I am probably going to host something called the Brave Yes Ascension Summit, which is about finding your Brave Yes edge in your business for, just standing out in your market. And then I'm going to have my Brave Yes Power Squad again this fall, which I'm really excited to kind of try again and see if I can get a better turnout number wise. But ultimately, I still just do one-to-one coaching. That's where my strength is for the most part.
Awesome. And where can we find you online to keep tabs on all these things that are coming up for you?
All these things. Yes. My website is shawnfink.com. That's SHAWN. And that's really the best place, but I'm on all the socials as well.
Awesome. And we'll put links to all that in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining us today, Shawn. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here.
And we want to say thank you to our listeners for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and give us a subscribe so you never miss one. Until next time, stay sparkly.